Hey guys, what's going on? This is Commerce64. How you guys are doing today? And I'm back with another video. And so for today's video, I'm going to be talking about Project Red and what kind of what I would like to see from Project Red, like what kind of series, shows, and seasons I like to see in Project Red. Now, with Project Red being the official replacement for Super Sentai next year in 2026, with Super Sentai going on maybe a possible hiatus or maybe canceled entirely permanently or maybe taking a little bit of hiatus. We don't know how long, maybe a decade. So, but Project Red, starting to run, being the official replacement, being Toei's new live action tokusatsu franchise that they're going to be focusing on for next year 2026 and onward beyond for we don't know how long, but we can assume that Project Red is going to continue to go on for 2027, 2028, 2029, 2030, 2031, 2032, yeah, into the 2030s, and we don't really know how long Project Red will last. That's the thing. So some people assume that because of Project Red has Super Space Sheriff Gavin or Space Sheriff Gavin, that's what it was originally called, as its first show in this new franchise. Some people thought that maybe it was going to be like a rebranding, a revival of Metal Heroes, but it seems that that's probably not really the case. you know, it seems like the only reason why they're starting with a Gavin's season is because from what I heard, they want to start up with a popular Toku hero. They don't like starting up with something new that they know probably won't catch on. Something like that. And of course, we all heard the rumor titles that it was going to be called Universe Heroes, but that wasn't the case at all. Or maybe we can use the Universe Hero concept like in an American adaptation version of it. Something like that. But with Project Red being an official name and such, now this does got me wondering because with Project Red, since it's not being a rebranding of Metal Heroes, not a revival in a way, it's just having Gavin on it. With Project Red, having like Space Sheriff Gavin, Infinity, Super Space Sheriff Gavin, Infinity. I think I forgot the word Infinity. I think I mentioned that, or I probably didn't. If I didn't, I'm sorry. Well, Super Space Chef Gavin and Infinity being the first in this franchise, it does get me wondering like what other shows are we going to see in this franchise? Like what other seasons? Like after Space Chef Gavin Infinity, like are what are we going to get next? Are we going to get like a different kind of Toku hero, something that like has a bit of a Sentai like vibe to it? You know, that kind of got me wondering. Or like, will we see like a new B fighter series or something? So we don't really know. Now, I think I heard that says that for shows that are going to make into that are going to be a part of Project Red, they're going to like have you like all be like based on a red hero. To be honest, I kind of hope that's not really the case because I would like to see heroes in different colors. Seeing a hero in red like in all of them, I guess it is cool and all, but at some point it's going to probably feel a bit redundant eventually at some point. That's just me. Now, what kind of shows I would like to see Project Red produce? Like, I would like to see Project Red go above and beyond and do all sorts of different things. Like, it was said in an interview, I think someone who works for Toei that they want to make new heroes and such. That's why they decided. That's one of the reasons why they decided to cancel Sentai. So yeah, you know, so if that's the case, then that got me thinking like, how about we see brand new, different type of tokusatsu heroes? Not ones that follow a similar format to like from Sentai, Kamen Rider, Ultraman, or even Garo. Maybe they can borrow some concepts from them and be similar to them in a way, but just do different and be their own original thing. Like for example, like what if we get like an Egyptian themed Toku series? I know we kind of somewhat got that with Own Ranger, but you know, it does it in a different way. Like let's say this Egyptian team Toku series is kind of like it has like four heroes, four or five. I'll say four heroes, four characters. They get these Egyptian like powers and they have to use these Egyptian powers to fight against this ancient evil that existed years ago and such. And you know what they can do? They can do like a Sentai like it's a team of four, or maybe they can do the camaraderie approach where it's actually one character who's the main hero, and the other three are basically like his like are like the secondary heroes, like the secondary writers in a way. Yeah, something like that. Or like yeah, or you can look at like maybe like similar to Saint Seiya. Do something like similar to Saint Seiya. Yeah, so like let's have like other type of Toku heroes, Tokusatsu heroes, that do different things. Like let's have like you know be original and do other things. Like maybe we can have like a Grand Caesar inspired Toku series, or maybe yeah one inspired by Garo. You could have somewhat inspired by other past Toku series, Super Sentai, Kamen Rider, Ultraman, the Space Sheriffs, the Rescue series, the B Fighters, that kind of stuff, you know. But like maybe throw some different twists in them and do a different thing. Like with Super Space Sheriff Gavin Infinity, we have a red Gavin, a silver Gavin, and a gold Gavin. Now we don't know if the silver and the gold Gavins, if they're going to be power up versions of the power up versions of the red Gavin, or they're going to be differently, entirely different characters. We don't know. I don't know if it was actually explained that they're going to be different cha- characters, and they're going to be very different characters at this point. Characters. Well, I think I heard that they say that the gold one looks feminine and it might be a female. Wait, oh yeah, I think they did say that the silver and gold are their own separate characters. No, they said gold is going to be magic base from what I heard. Silver is going to it's a samurai, and r- red is kind of like normal. Like I am looking, but we don't really know. But that does seem like an interesting concept. We have three Gavins, each with different types of things. Now, the red Gavin is he's basically going to be is he going to be like the main character, like the main one we focus on, and silver and gold are just like the secondary heroes, or is it going to be like maybe like a VR super situation where it's all three of them that are here, three of them they're like a team or something, or maybe they might do something different where it's like three of them are separate from their own, and they're just like doing their own things or something like that, or maybe they might do a thing like where they team up, or sometimes like they team up, either they sometimes team up or they don't, or some they probably don't, or maybe they might pull like the comrade approach and like have conflicts between all three of the Gavins. How comrade, how sometimes there's always conflict between the writers. The main writer, the secondary writer, and even the third writer, even the other writers. We saw that in Ryuki. Well, in Ryuki, they all were participating in a war, in a fight against each other. Fies, I think Kaiser and Delta were villains, or Kaiser. I think Kaiser's main user was, well, yeah, he was kind of a dick, but I heard some stuff. But it's been a while since I've seen Fies, honestly. Now, yeah, in Blade, now Comrade Lingo, he was mind controlled in a way, so he was fighting against the heroes. Chalice and Garen, they did have conflict with each other, and Garen, Tachibana, yeah, he was kind of a dick towards Kenzaki, and when Kenzaki was even trying to help him, so and even in Kabuto, there are multiple conflicts between the writers, you know, and we still kind of see that with the later writer series seasons, So I want to Gavin Infinity is going to touch on that, be like that with the Gavins, or Gavins, or maybe probably not. We don't know. But I am looking forward to Gavin Infinity, and I bet it's going to be an awesome series. I am definitely looking forward to the merchandise release for it, like the action figures. I might try to get one of them. You know, so yeah, Project Red looks like it's probably going to be a very interesting and fun franchise. You know, yeah, and I am kind of sad that Sentai is ending for now, but I think it's probably for the best because Sentai has kind of been running for 50 years, and I think at this point, if something runs for too long, eventually it's going to get stale and boring, and people are probably going to get burned out. And I think that's probably the case. But lately it has been revealed that Sentai hasn't really been doing well in terms of merchandise and such. Low toy sales and such. So it is kind of bummer that Sentai's ending, but maybe it's kind of good because this fleshes the way and makes way for more Tokusatsu heroes to be in the spotlight. With Project Red looks like it's going to be doing something different. Now, before when we thought it was rumored as Universe Heroes, we thought it was going to be like a shared universe between Super Sentai and Metal Heroes, but it doesn't look like it's probably not. Maybe it probably is going to be the case, or probably not. But you know, it's in Project Red. We thought Project Red was going to be a rebrand of Super Sentai, but it's actually revealed to be an actual brand new Toku series, and what I'm actually looking forward to because I am all for Tokusatsu stuff, any types of Tokusatsu stuff. Whether it's live action. Well, yeah, mostly live action because I just love Tokusatsu in general. Even though, yeah, I mostly love the American Tokusatsu adaptations like Power Rangers, Beetleborgs, VR Troopers, and Kamen Rider Dragonite, Super Samurai Subscribe, and so forth. You know, I still also like the Japanese originals as well. And not just Japanese Toku series, but also Chinese Toku series like Armor Heroes, and a few others. So Tokusatsu is just pretty awesome. And I guess almost anything is Tokusatsu if it's live action. I think the MCU could be considered Tokusatsu, the DCU, James Gunn's new DC universe that could probably be considered Tokusatsu. Live action special effects and such. Yeah. So I guess anything, you know. And they said that Project Red might feature some not armored or costumed heroes, from what I heard, which I say will be interesting. But I would like to see some more stuff in costume wearing heroes and see like they do different types of heroes. You know, and I would like to see a new B Fighter series if they probably will do so because the B Fighter series is awesome. Yeah, I love Beetleborgs. I grew up with Beetleborgs. I have all the DVDs right here. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get the final volume two of Metallics because I never got around to getting it, and it's now out of print and basically probably goes for a lot of bucks online somewhere. I haven't had any luck finding it, but I might try to see if I can find one so I can get like a sweet deal or something. You know. So yeah, I do look forward to Project. Yeah, I would like to see Project Red maybe do a new B Fighter series. Like now we know it's not like a revival of Metal Heroes, but maybe it might maybe revive some Metal Heroes shows. Like since they have Gavin, so it looks like they probably might do the same with other Metal Heroes. Or they might be doing original stuff, which I'm all for. I'm all for them doing original stuff. We can like let's see new Tokusatsu heroes, not like some like okay Super Sentai, Kamen Rider, Ultraman, Space Sheriffs, B Fighters, and the rest of it heroes as and even others like Garo and Grand Caesar and even those other one-off Toku series like Ryu Kendo, they're all cool and all, but how about we see more of that, like something different, you know? like I mentioned earlier, like an Egyptian scene Toku series, not similar to All Ranger or maybe some other Kamen Rider series that have an Egyptian theme to it. Well, Red Ranger becomes an adventure in another world has like an Egyptian themed Kamen Rider. I think it's supposed to be a reference to Kamen Rider. You know, yeah, Red Ranger becomes an adventure in another world. I'm thinking about checking out that series. Looks like a fun series. Well, when I first saw this series, I thought it was like felt kind of odd, just like seeing just the Red Ranger in another universe, and it's not like it's just sort of like a Sentai anime. This kind of thought it was weird, but it seems interesting. Like isekai. At first I didn't know what isekai meant, but then figured out it meant uh, like in another world. And that's another thing. Isekai. Secret speaking of isekai, we thought that the rumored for the next Sentai in 2026 was going to be an isekai base season. Like a main character gets teleported in our world, and they're going to deal with like magic device, and the leader was going to be white ranger, and there's going to be a red ranger, a blue ranger, and I think a pink ranger. But it turns out that wasn't the case. And we hear another rumor that Gavin Infinity was going to be Gavin. He was going to be technology based, and he was going to team up with a magic ranger or something. I forgot what I was with, but that turned out to be false as well. But other than that, I'm looking forward to Super Space Chef Gavin Infinity, as well as Project Red in general as a whole. I look forward to seeing what kind of awesome seasons that they're going to release. I would like to see like from them, like a new B Fighter series, and maybe something like maybe inspired by both Kamen Rider and Super Sentai, like maybe mixed both together, or like let's see a Toku series where like it's like similar to Transformers, where the Tokusatsu characters are robots or that can transform, or maybe a Tokusatsu series like something similar to Kin to Voltron, or something where it's basically Voltron inspired. And like I was thought like what would it be cool if Toy like did a deal with Voltron, the company that owns Voltron, to make a live action Voltron series. Like how back in the '80s, Toy collabed with Marvel to make a live action Spider-Man show that was completely different from the source material. Now, what if Toy did that with other franchises, like with Voltron, or even Metroid, or even Halo? I just thought it would be cool. I know that some of those will probably never happen because of licensing and stuff like that. And who knows, if certain companies will be down for it. The company rights holders, like if Nintendo, like let's say if Toy wants to make a live action Metroid Toku series, whether it be faithful or completely different from the source material, if Nintendo will be down with that, or a live action Voltron series. I will be down to see a live action Voltron series, and I think it could be done well because looking at the fight footage, certain Megazord fights like in King Oldra and such, how CGI and such, and they pull off really amazingly. I bet they can do the same for Voltron, live action Voltron Toku series, Tokusatsu series. Sure. I have all these amazing ideas that I think would be cool to see if they were reality. And also, speaking of reality, VR Troopers, if Project Red, if Space Shuttle Gap Infinity does extremely well, would Hasbro or anybody be interested in adapting that as like a new season of VR Troopers? A VR Troopers revival, like VR Troopers Next Generation or something? Well, we don't really know. Yeah, I know they say American Tokusatsu adaptations are probably done and over with and they're a thing of the past. I did made a video earlier, like talking about do we still need American Tokusatsu adaptations? So feel free to check out that video if you like. I still will be down to see more American Tokusatsu adaptations. And yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to Space Super Space Sheriff Gab Infinity. I feel like I want to call it just Space Sheriff Gab Infinity instead of Super Space Sheriff Gab Infinity. Super Space Sheriff Gavin, like Uh, the horse super, it doesn't seem to be cool anymore, especially since how the Neo Saban era has been using it for like the second season for some of their seasons. Super Samurai, Super Mega Force, Dino Supercharged, Super Ninja Steel. Thank God that Beast Morphers and Dino Fury didn't bother to use it for their second seasons. And yeah, so I mean, Dino Fury did use Cosmic Fury for their season, but that was kind of like something different entirely. So yeah, the word super, I think we need to put that to rest, or maybe it can come back once in a while. So yeah, and speaking of super, with Super Sentai ending, it sucks, but maybe it's going to take the comrade approach and come back with a new formula, new format, a different direction, do something different entirely. Like let's say Super Sentai comes back and they don't do the whole Megazord thing anymore. It's just speed. It's five teams or three teams, and something like that. But yeah, I am definitely looking forward to Project Red. Maybe they'll have different type of Toku heroes, like let's say a team of four or three or five or one Toku heroes. Like maybe there might be experimenting like Metal Heroes did. Like how Metal Heroes had different types of heroes. And fun fact with Metal Heroes wasn't named Metal Heroes when it was airing during the 80s and the 90s. It wasn't named the Metal Heroes until after I think Robotech ended. And in the early 2000s, that's when they started to call all the Metal series because they're all separate from each other and such. So yeah, that is an interesting fun fact. But yeah, I think that will be it. I think that's all I got to say. Definitely looking forward to Project Red, Super Space Sheriff Gav Infinity, and all the awesome Toku series that they're probably gonna come up with. Other seasons that Project Red will feature. So yeah, you guys let me know what you guys think. You guys looking forward to Project Red, the franchise, and what kind of seasons that's going to be colliding with it, that's going to be in it. Like aside from Super Space Sheriff Gavin, what are Tokyo series you'd like to see them possibly do next? You guys can let me know. And also, are you looking forward to Super Space Sheriff Gavin Infinity? Let me all know in the comment section below. And hope you guys like this video, and I'll have more videos coming out in the future. So this is Commerce 64. Peace out, guys. Long live Tokuzashi.